Hey everybody, I'm in the kitchen this morning and there's been a few people ask me to make the 2-ingredient biscuits again. So I'm going to make those this morning. And if you want to know how to make the 2-ingredient biscuits, now if you make them the old-fashioned way and that's the way you like them, that's fine. But this is just, I made them the old-fashioned way for years and years and years. But this is much easier to me. And it makes really good biscuits. So if you want to learn how to make the 2-ingredient biscuits, stay tuned. We'll be right back. First thing we're going to do, wash our hands. Okay, now the first thing we're going to do, you need a bowl and you need a spoon. You need something. You can do it on your counter. You can do it on a piece of wax paper, whatever you want to do it on. But if you use wax paper or something, you better tape it down with a little freezer tape because it doesn't stay there very well. These little mats right here, you can buy these for not very much at all. And on the back of them, they've got kind of a rubber coating and they kind of grip the counter. They don't slide or anything real easy. So that I've got some of these and I love these. These are, you can cut meat on them. You can do anything you want to. And I get these, I order these on Amazon. But you can also buy these at Walmart now. I've seen them there. Let me show you some I've got. I bought these on Amazon last year. And these two that I use all the time, I've been using now for a couple years. They last for a long time. There's a yellow one. I have an orange one. And a red one. Purple. Green. And blue. And these are pretty good size. You can see how big they are. I mean, let me get a tape measure. I'm probably the only woman keeps tape measure in her kitchen. This is 15 by 12. 12 by 15. So this takes up a pretty good space. These are actually bigger than the ones I'm using right here. And these also have a little thing, so if you want to hang them on a hook or something in your kitchen. But I'll put these back down here in my little hideaway cubby, because this is what I've been using right now until this one is not good. When they get really old and scarred up, then I just throw them away and get me a new one. But anyway, right now we're going to make some 2-ingredient biscuits. Now, if you need a bigger batch of biscuits than what I'm making, then, double it. You just have to think accordingly. And if you don't want your biscuits as thick, or you want them if you like crunchy biscuits, make them thinner. If you want big fluffy biscuits, make them thicker. Usually about 3/4 of an inch. See this little first digit on your finger? If you get a biscuit thick as that, it's going to make a big fluffy biscuit. This first little section of your finger right here to this little joint, that's going to make a pretty daggone big biscuit. Now, what I'm going to show you, I'm going to teach you all to do this without a recipe. You're just going to put in some flour, and you can measure it if you want to keep up with what you do. But I'm just going to put some in. Because that's about all the biscuits. I can tell I don't need more biscuits than that, It's probably about 1.5 cups maybe. Might be 2 cups, I don't know. But it's about 1.5 cups, I guess. But when you make biscuits, you got to learn to do it this way. Doing it by recipe every time, you got to learn to look at things and see. And I'm trying to get you over here where you can see. Now, we're going to use heavy whipping cream because heavy whipping cream takes care of the milk and the oil or grease or whatever you put in here. If you're used to seeing people do it with Crisco and milk, this takes the place of both of them. It's your fat and your liquid. It's got both of them in it, okay? And yes, heavy whipping cream is fat, but I got news for you. So is lard or oil. They've all got a lot of fat in them. If you're going to make biscuits, it's going to be fat. Now, I'm going to pour this in here. I'm going to pour all of that because I know that's not too much because my thing was empty. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to want to stir this until I get kind of a thick dough. kind of wet. Now, right now I can still see that there's flour moving around in it, so that's not wet enough. So I'm going to open my other container here and pour a little bit more. And just pour a little bit at a time. Learn to, be able to tell when your biscuits and things. I can give you the recipe for this. It's 2 cups of flour and 1.5 cups of heavy whipping cream. And that will make about 7 or 8 biscuits. Just depends on how many you need. Now, this needs just a little bit more. I can look at it. It's starting to make a dough ball, but it's still just a little bit dry. So I'm going to add just a little bit more, and I'm going to cut it in. Normally, I would probably mix this up with my hands. Okay, now. Now, it's going to make a dough ball, right like this. See, most of it come out of the pan. And what I'm going to do first, though, is I'm going to put some flour on my pan, on my board here. I'm just going to reach down in here and get a little bit out and put it right there. Then I'm going to get my dough ball out, put it right there. And I always take my fingers and push that little excess off. Now, I'll have to wash, no, well, maybe I got it without. I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit of flour on top of this so I can knead it. Okay? I just sprinkle a little on top, and then I mash it down flat like that. Quite a bit. Now, take it from the bottom, fold it in half, and press it down. Turn it around, do the same thing again. Do that several times. This is what makes the layers to your biscuits. If you don't do this, your biscuits are not going to have, layers to them. Don't do it too much, though, because if you knead too much, then your biscuits get tough. Just do it several times. Just turn it about 8 times. That's usually plenty. Okay, now, you'll be able to tell it because the dough is going to get kind of smooth looking. Okay? Now, I'm going to put just a little bit more flour out here. And I'm going to press this down with my hand. And I'm going to press it as thin as I want these biscuits. And I like my biscuits. I like fluffy biscuits too. But I like my biscuits a little thinner. So I'm going to make these a little thinner today. They're still plenty thick. I like crunchy biscuits every once in a while. If you like soft, fluffy biscuits, then you want to make yours a little higher, and you want to bake them about a minute or 2 longer. Now you can see mine. You can kind of see there how thick it is. It's not real thick. Okay, let me get my biscuit cutter. I forgot it. Okay, now, I always dip my biscuit cutter down in my flour so it won't stick to my biscuits. Uh-oh, forgot something. You need to put just a tiny little bit of oil in your pan and spread it around. So the biscuits won't, they'll kind of have a crunchy bottom, or that's just something I've seen my granny and my mom do their whole life. Okay, now, let me get that off my finger. Let me wash my hands. I can't stand that stuff on my hands. I know that sounds crazy, but I just can't, I don't like it on my hands. I always had to stop when I was younger making biscuits and get that off my hands. But my oven is still preheating anyway. You need to preheat your oven to 400 degrees. Now you can preheat it to 415, 420, and it will cook them just a little bit faster. That's the only difference, guys. Biscuits will cook at 350, they'll cook at 375, they'll cook at 400. Cooking at 400 cooks them a little quicker, and makes them, I don't know, they just make better biscuits that way. But anyway, you want to try to get this done, though, as quick as possible because you don't want your dough to get hot. Now, there's how thick my biscuits are. See them? I'm trying to, that light just blinds you sometimes. Let me turn it this way. You can see the biscuit there. It's about as thick as one of my fingers. Okay? Now, I'm going to put that in the pan. Let me get you back over here now. And I'll cut another one. And when I cut all the way through these, whatever dough is here on the thing, I will smash back together and make another biscuit or two, like this. Just kind of push it back together. Get it smooth a little bit and then press it back out just like what we did a while ago. You might have to put a little bit more flour on it, but that won't hurt anything. Just press it back out. If you want to use a rolling pin to do this, you can. Try to keep all of them about the same size, same thickness, because that does affect the cooking. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to get right on these edges here. My little old pan has got enough room for 2 little ones, and I used to do this for my kids. I would make little biscuits. I used to choke them out. I didn't cut out biscuits. I squeezed them off and rolled them around like this and patted them out. That's the way my mom always done it. So I'm going to make 2 biscuits like that today, 2 little ones. I'm going to roll them around here. Then I'm going to flatten them out a little bit. And I'm going to put them in the pan. Have 2 little biscuits. That'll probably be what I eat. The little ones. If I can get that to go on up there a little bit. Now, there's my biscuits in my pan that made 2, 4, 6 good-sized biscuits. You know, and you're not leaving any flour behind to waste or anything like that. Used to, you had to keep a biscuit bowl, and your biscuit bowl always had flour in it. You know, you kept a lid on it, but you always had to go back and re-sift flour. This way, you're cleaning everything up at one time. You're not wasting a lot of flour. And the heavy whipping cream, you know, it takes the place of the milk and the oil or the lard or Crisco or whatever you use. And this is just an easy way to make biscuits, and it's really quick. I've done it slower today to kind of let you all see what I'm doing. But I'm going to put this in the oven, and then when they come out, I'll show you all what they look like. I'll be right back. I just wanted to let you all know that I got a phone call right in the middle of the video in which it messes it up, and I have to restart it. So, but I wanted to tell you, usually you cook biscuits at 400 degrees for 12 to 14 minutes. If you're making a thicker biscuit, you want to cook them longer. If you're making a thinner biscuit, you can probably, you know, you can look at them. Usually they will start turning brown around the edges and things like that. And then if you want to brown them, turn them on broil on your stove. If they don't get brown enough, you know, by just cooking them, then turn it on broil, and then that will brown your biscuits. You got to watch them, though. You can't take off and leave them. You got to stand right there and watch. And then when they're brown enough, take them out, you know. So I just wanted to give you all that little tidbit, but my biscuits are baking, and I'll be back in a few minutes. I was just going to show you all. You can see how my biscuits are already baking. They're already getting thick, puffing up. See them? Okay, guys, I just took the biscuits out of the oven. There's what they look like. You can see. And I'm even going to take a biscuit here. I'm going to take one, just the regular size biscuits, this one. And I'm going to see how thick it is. Ouch, it's hot too. I got to get my ruler right here. Okay, this biscuit is, let's see. It's a good 1.5 inches thick. You know, it's that thick. And that's about the way I like biscuits, about like that. And I'm going to put these right here on this little bowl with my spread that Mary Alice got me for my birthday one day. And these are my little biscuits I made by hand. They look more like little dinner rolls than they do biscuits. And I'm going to just put them on top here. And I'll show you what that looks like. That's a good looking batch of biscuits, guys. I guarantee you. You set that down before anybody and they'll always eat your biscuits. Look at there. Look at those biscuits. Mine keeps wanting to slide around on me there, but you can see that's pretty biscuits. And I turned mine on broil for just a minute or so, and I stood here and watched it. They were already starting to turn golden brown around the edges. And I cooked these the full 14 minutes, okay? But if you like a softer biscuit, you know, cook them about 12.5, 13. You wouldn't think a minute makes a lot of difference, but it does in a 400-degree oven, okay? And I'm going to eat me one of these with some jam on it in a minute. This is going to be my lunch. I haven't had any breakfast or lunch yet, but I'm going to eat me a biscuit, and the rest of them I'm going to send over to my neighbor. Because I know Robert won't eat none. He doesn't eat biscuits. He just doesn't like them. He doesn't eat them. But anyways, you all have a blessed day. And just remember to do something good for somebody else today. And I'm hoping maybe to do, somebody asked me to do another video to show how my garage and my pantry looks over here and what I keep in stock and my freezers. Because I'm not a hoarder and I'm not a prepper. I'm just somebody that believes in being prepared. You know, you never know what's going to happen. And just like my grandparents, they always canned up everything in the summer. They prepared for winter. They prepared for the months to come because they didn't have grocery stores to run to and buy all their food. They didn't do that. So they had to prepare ahead of time. That's the way I was raised. And I don't know. I just do it. And it's not so much for me. I always think, if something was to happen, would my grandkids have food? Would they, would any of them need something, And I guess that's just the way I am. But anyway, I'm going to get off here. I'm not going to rattle on too much because I know I have a tendency to do that sometimes. Because I forget that I'm doing a recipe and not just talking. But try you some 2-ingredient biscuits. Let me know how they turn out. Listen, guys, don't worry. You're not going to hurt them. So don't be so delicate with them, okay? Just stir that up till you got a good wet, gluey gob. Then put it out. And if it's still a little wet, you can work a little flour into it. You're not going to hurt it. But if you're making it, 2 cups of self-rising flour. That means it's already got the baking ingredients in it, the rising agents. So don't use plain flour for this or you're going to get... you're going to get flying saucers, hard as a rock, that won't rise a bit. And put 2 cups of flour to 1.5 cup of heavy whipping cream, okay? And if you want to, you can use about half heavy whipping cream and half and half, or half whole milk. Sometimes you can kind of do it that way. But now if you're wanting a real fluffy, buttery biscuit, you got to do it this way. But anyway, that's another time, another recipe. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.